Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all of you who are parents. Why do I say that? Because hopefully, as you're watching today's episode, you're enjoying your cup of coffee with me. My name is Bill. I'm one of your hosts for today's episode of Selling That House. With me is my co-host, Chris Lobrillo. Chris, how are you?
Doing great, Bill. Looking forward to another great episode.
Absolutely. And I think I know this. Some of your kiddos, I shouldn't say kiddos, but some of your children, adult children, are also back into their mode of school and otherwise. So you freed up some of your time as well, right?
Oh yeah. We took both girls back to school this week. We just have the two boys left at home. Have a high school football game tonight, and the hectic summer seems to be behind us. The kids went back to school this week.
Yeah, absolutely. For myself, a lot of my friends and neighbors as well. Absolutely, a shout out to all of you who are parents of kids who have gone back to school. As I mentioned, all of a sudden, you've freed up some time. And in that spirit, here is my first ask of you. Think about it. Here's the question. What new project or projects that you had on hold around the home are you getting back to? If you'd like to share with us what are those projects that you're going to start or get back to, drop your comment into this live stream. We look forward to hearing from you what they are. Why? Because those very same projects you're about to spend time on may be projects that many others are looking to do the same for. So let's rah-rah each other up, share some tips, etc., etc. Now, Chris, for today's episode, you had teased me about this in the back room before, we went live stream, and you said, Bill, I'm going to bring in one of my relationships. It's a guy that I worked with. And I said, okay. And then you said, he's a legend to himself. He's a myth. The guy knows his stuff. And he calls himself Miles of Realty, right?
Yeah. And, we do have a special treat today. Miles is one of the younger top producing agents that you're going to find.
Wow.
I've had the pleasure of working with Miles on the same team. I come from the same background. He still works on that same team, the Combring team out here in the Fox Valley. They're at Remax, and historically, one of the top producing teams in all of Northern Illinois. And Miles is now one of their lead agents and also their sales manager. So he'll have a lot of good stuff for us today.
All right. So without further ado, a virtual drum roll. Let's bring him into the studio. Here we go. Miles of Realty, here you are.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Miles, what's happening?
Oh, just another day in paradise.
How are the kids going?
Kids are great. They're both back in school, daycare, growing like weeds and just enjoying life. These kids don't go without,
Yeah, right. So Miles, you're one of the younger top producing agents. You've been at this for a long time for a guy your age. How old are you right now?
I'm 35 years old. I got started right out of the gate. I was, 21 at the time. You had to be, 21, I think, to get a license. I was still in college and, getting started young.
Yeah. And where'd you start out working?
I started at another office in St. Charles, the Keller Williams office there, back in 2009. And I kind of got, a friend of mine at the time was an agent there, and that's how I kind of got introduced to it. And I had an interest in real estate, and so I was 18. I bought my first house and rehabbed it. And, from there it went into just kind of furthering my education in real estate. And so I decided to get my license, and it just kind of kept going from there.
So you said that you bought some places. Do you do some investing yourself?
Yeah. So, that's another side of my life or my business is real estate, ownership, investing, rehabbing, renting, all the above there. I personally do it. It's a huge part of, kind of who I am. Like I said, real estate, helping others has kind of become, branch of what I, like about real estate, so I get to share that with other people.
So do you do just rehabbing of houses, or do you own some rental properties, or what type of investing?
Yeah. I currently own 5 other rental apartments, buildings. It's 21 units, currently. And, gosh, I'm only 35, so I imagine that'll grow a little bit, hopefully, but we'll see. The market, everybody watches HGTV now and wants to be an investor. So the availability of homes and investment properties are kind of fewer right now. So we'll see how things, progress in the future. Maybe I've thought about maybe doing some other avenues in real estate, and so it's kind of making some of my own opportunities at that point. So we'll see.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about where you're at now. What where you're working, and what you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, so I work on the Combreak team at Remax. We have 6 full-time agents on our team, and then about 5 support staff that help us just deliver the A plus 10 out of 10 experience for the consumer, and that's our goal. Is I always tell people, I think when you hire a real estate agent, you expect to buy the home that you want, or you expect to sell the home that you're selling. But getting that top notch experience, the best customer service around, leaving that transaction thinking, wow, I can't imagine that this had gone any better. Just creating an experience that they're excited to tell their friends and family about. And so that's what we focus on here at the Combreak team.
Yeah, definitely. Miles and I have learned through the same channels. I was a member of the Combreak team myself, and quite frankly, really proud of the time I spent there, and any contribution I got to make to over there myself. They're top notch. There's no question about it. Year in and year out, they're definitely one of the top teams. Miles, you said some stuff about buying the house they want. We're in a challenging market, obviously. What are you doing to help buyers get that house they want?
Yeah, so I think that there's obviously a lot of I kind of say tell people as the market goes up and down, I always kind of judge the market by activity level, and some of that's seasonal, right? And so when the market's super hot and we're competing against 5 or 6 other buyers that want that same home, it's about writing the right contract and the right terms that's favorable, not always to the buyer specifically, but to the seller, to get them to differentiate you and your offer as the buyer for that dream house that you want to be the one that's chosen. So I always kind of explain it. It's kind of like a little bit of a game. It's not about oh, this is a good offer or that. It's about writing the right offer, and as an agent, I do my part to communicate on to the other side of what's important to that that client. And so if there's something that my client can offer them to sweeten the pot, so to speak, that's really what we're looking to try to do to accomplish. And again, making sure that that agent knows that working with me, I get deals done. This is not only does the seller want to get the best deal, the best price, but they want the thing to close. And having the right agent on the other side is super important. And so I encourage those agents to look up, do some research, or I give them the information. Like, here, here's who we are. Here's who I am. Here's what I've done. This deal is going to close, and put my reputation on the line for it.
So you're hitting on, one aspect of it, right? Which is, getting your offer accepted, right? That's the first hurdle. Getting your guys under contract. Now, you know, and I know, right? That's not getting you to the closing table, though, right? It gets complex also from there. What do you do as an agent then for your client to get them to the closing table? What are you doing with them to help when they've got a difficult seller in a seller's market? What are you doing?
So everything I think is about education and setting the expectations, of my buyer or of my seller in the transaction. And so not everything is even Stevens. Like, well, why do we always have to do this? You're making us do all these things, Miles. Doesn't seem like the other side, they're kind of lackadaisical. And I always explain to them, I said, well, we do things right, and we're going to get the deal done. Right. And not all realtors are created equally. And so sometimes not only do I have to do the job of my, representing you, but I also have to do the job of working with, doing, teaching, mentoring, coaching that other agent, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that they know like how that contract needs to be written, how to get through this hurdle or whatever that is in the transaction. Because a lot of these agents don't know, and it's, no fault of their own, I guess, if they're newer in the business or whatever. But, I have to do my due diligence for my client and get the deal done. So sometimes it's not just about, hiring me, hiring an agent. It's about me, taking care of, the other side of the transaction too. So it's a little bit more involved, I think, than what meets the eye. And obviously we don't like share every detail of what we do behind the scenes to make the deal happen. We just get it done, and that's what the client wants.
Yeah, they don't show the reality of what you do, how you do it in HGTV. And to that point, Miles and Chris, I use this cliche quite often with my peers in the business, brokers, attorneys, and title reps. But I also use it with my clients, both buyers and sellers, and that is, real estate is a team sport. You got to make sure you make sure you have the right team on the field.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that. I like that a lot. And, hopefully, our agents are listening in on this today, but I'm going to bring that one up.
There you go.
Miles, of course, you're hiring you're an agent, right? You're hiring an agent, and it's a customer service business. And I think that that's something that you picked up on from a really young age. That you're always big on taking care of your clients, but your team really helps you, and that whole team and your whole product is it's a value add for a seller, right? You feel like when you go on a listing call, your team is what you're also selling along with yourself.
Yeah. So like Bill was saying, it's a team effort. And, when it comes down to delivering that, A+ experience, we've got some great people here that are kicking butt behind the scenes, making sure that, we're in, compliance with, local and state, laws and contracts and title work and, just everything that gets involved with, that. And, there's liability in this too, that a lot of consumers don't see that we take on. And so, there's, a lot of, dotting the I's and crossing the T's that we do behind the scenes. So our staff does that. When it comes down to, taking care of the consumer, our clients, from a listing side, we have a listing, coordinator that does all our online marketing and blogging. We have a social media director, marketing director that, takes care of all that stuff. So it's cutting edge. It's staying on top of everything. And again, just, serving the client, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's, that stuff comes, at the end of the day. The more people I can serve and, create that experience that they're excited to tell a friend about, that's what it's going to come back to. And that's what I'm, that's how that's my goal at the end of the day is to provide that. Because let's face it, nobody, nobody really wants to, they're going to tell something to their friend, and you want it to be something good.
Yeah. And you being a younger guy, I'm sure you are maybe a step ahead of a lot of the old people like myself with social media and technology. Tell us what your thoughts are on social media for a realtor.
Yeah, so it was once explained to me that, and I fully believe in this, like, stick with the basics, the fundamentals haven't changed. However, I can tell you, being a realtor over the last 14 years, that the name of the game has changed drastically since then. And, and so there's a physical presence, having your sign in the yard, being on a billboard, or supporting the local baseball team, or being involved at your church, so people know that you're that realtor and you're there. So there's the physical presence, but there's also the digital presence, right?
Yeah.
And so so that's where a lot of people see you. And you get a little bit, there's obviously pluses and minuses to that. Obviously you get a wider reach, and so negatives, obviously, everybody sees. It's kind of like it's the real, right? This is all the successful. This is all they don't see all the grind and the failures and things like that. And everybody knows you fail your way to success, right? And it just doesn't happen overnight. But that's what we showcase, just like everybody, these are the highlights from our vacation. That's kind of what a lot of people see on social media. But when it comes down to marketing on social media, that's where our team, with our resources, frankly, we have a larger spending budget than your average agent does, and so we can market more, provide more value to our clients when it comes to marketing, especially through social media and online resources, and so with having a marketing director, that's their full-time job. Again, we have 6 full-time agents, 5 full-time, support staff. There's, only so many hours of the day. And so we leverage, our resources and our man hours to, again, put that much more time and effort into delivering, the best customer service experience and getting the job done at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you set the bar high for, anybody who might be competing against you for the listing, and that's important, I mean, that's super important. If you had any type of advice for someone looking to sell their property quickly and at the best price, what would you suggest to them?
2 things. Well, maybe 3. I mean, obviously, you want the property to show the best you can. So, having the best, sometimes you get a seller that's like, oh, I don't want to do anything. That's fine. Just know that you may not get, top retail dollar.
Sure.
So there's some small changes that I typically can recommend that are, inexpensive and can, maybe for example, it might cost you $1,000, but if that causes you to save or gain $10,000 in price or costs of selling, of holding costs, whatever that might be, that's a good value. And so that's really a differentiation that I can offer in my specific services by the network of professionals that I work with too, to prep listings. I've got a couple listings right now where we're, quote unquote, doing rehabs of the property. And
Okay.
I'm offering those services that where other realtors, don't have the knowledge. Because remember, my background is, getting into construction of the houses and knowing, I did that work. My dad taught me. I'm not perfect by any means, or would recommend you hiring me to come fix your toilet or something, but I know what it takes, and I know what I'm looking for, and I know the costs involved with it. And so when somebody says, hey, should I do this project or that project when I'm selling my house, I'm like, well, let's focus our money or our efforts here, because that's what's gonna, the buyers are gonna like. So I take the sales knowledge and I take the construction knowledge to maximize that effort and get the client what they want, is to sell their house for top retail dollar.
Right.
The second thing that I guess I would recommend is don't be greedy. Well, and I say
What do you
that
mean
is
by that?
times that we gone into a listing and they're like, you go in, you're like, hey, I think the value is here. This is the range, and I think if you price it here, you can price it high, you price it at market value, you price it below, and so many times people, just go out, they shoot for the moon and the stars, and which is great in theory. However, that's not exactly how the market always responds well to it, and sometimes
Right.
pricing in it, fairly will, at the end of the day, get you the best result because you have more, more interest and more level. Everybody goes up, is interested in the property. It's like an auction, right? And so what happens when more than one person's interested in a particular item or house is the price goes up. And when you
Right.
have leverage like that, you can not only get the best price, but you can also leverage those offers to get the best terms.
That's right.
So that's what I would say, as a seller, looking to get top retail dollar is, be focused, be smart, listen to your professional. If you don't have a good one, you can always call me. I know 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, I think that's what a couple of pieces of advice I would give a seller.
Have you ever walked away from a seller where they were just unrealistic and stubborn to their greedy price, Miles?
Yes. Usually it's usually after the fact. Especially when you're newer in the business, you're excited to get going and you'll take anything you can get, kind of thing, right? Because
Right.
maybe it'll eventually sell, but at the end of the day, it ends up wasting your time and money, and that's very valuable things, time especially,
Right.
that you can't get back. And it's like I'd rather focus my energy to people that do trust me and believe in our partnership, right, to get their home sold. And so yeah, we have parted ways with people, when that happens.
Yeah, it happens.
There's nothing greater than the feeling that when that happens and you keep checking the MLS and the hot sheets and it's still sitting there a year later and it's like I told you.
Yeah, I know. We all want to say I told you. And I'll share this with you. The last time I sold the property, it was good timing, right? There was one broker who we met with, and rather than do the song and dance with me with her, listing presentation or whatever, she had it in her hip pocket, trust me. But her first question and statement was, Bill, how quickly do you want to sell? And second, I'm going to share this with you. Every home, regardless of whether it's the Taj Mahal or the other direction, will sell at the right price with the right plan. So once I heard that, I was like, hey, that kind of makes sense. So you agree with that statement, Miles?
Yeah, there's a market for everything. I mean, especially, first-time home buyers, they go, well, my mom and dad said I should buy a 3-bedroom house instead of a 2-bedroom house because they appreciate, they sell better, the resale is better. And it's like, well, listen, there's a market for 2-bedroom houses. There's a market for 3-bedroom. There's a market for condos, and there's a market for mobile homes, and there's a market for, everything. And so, you need to find out what's right for you, what fits your budget,
right,
and what your lifestyle is going to be. Everybody knows the 3 things about real estate, right? Location, location, location. Right. And so, where do you want to live? I think that's, probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
One last question for you here, Miles, and then we're going to let you go. Any advice you would have for aspiring or new realtors?
Yeah, it's not a TV show. This isn't anything. I watch so many people come and go out of this industry. And I think you have to be hungry, you have to want to work. And so I could get deeper into that, but I won't. But I think you have to be humble and you have to be smart. I'm not a huge proponent of not reinventing the wheel. Learn from other people, train with them, get everything you can from them, because as soon as you stop learning, as soon as you think you know it all, you're gonna start slacking and you're gonna be getting rolled over by the people that are continuing to learn and do better.
So
Yeah.
William, this is why this guy got to be good at a young age. He definitely came over to our team back in the day, and he really wanted to learn and he really wanted to hustle, and now he's reaping the benefits of that.
Absolutely. I mean, Miles, my first time meeting you, kind of live, virtual.
Yeah.
But how Chris teased me with, "Hey, I got this guy I'm going to bring into our conversation," and then you're the myth, the legend, your tagline. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds interesting. But as I'm listening to you, watching you, he's spot on. Chris is spot on, because I took this away from listening to you. Not only did you have the grit, right? It's clear to me you're a constant learner. And then the third part of it is you actually practice what you preach or what you sell, which is you've owned a real estate property, you flip, you hold a rental portfolio. Yeah. By the way, you know this already. It's a great time to sell.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the buy and hold strategy right now. So
Yeah.
That's true. Rents are going up.
Well, thanks for coming on. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. It was a pleasure to be invited and be part of your show, and hopefully I can come back sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Take it easy.
Yep. Bye.
So, Chris, back to you as we wrap up today's episode. What would you like to share with any current or local happenings in the fall?
Well, coming up in Geneva, the weekend of September the 9th, Festival of the Vine, Partnerships and Title and Grandview Realty are hosting a community event to benefit 𝙎𝙚𝙪𝙨𝙬. Anybody who comes by with their children, we're going to have face painting, balloon animals, photo booth, and a 50-50 raffle to benefit 𝙎𝙚𝙪𝙨𝙬.
Wow.
Please stop by with your children. We'd love to see them.
Absolutely. So shout out to all of you, myself included, who are pet parents, dog, cat parents. A great opportunity to give back as the Grandview team is doing that. So certainly reach out and show up, right? So as we wrap up today's episode of Selling That House, my co-host Chris and myself, thank you for sharing your time with us. And back to Miles of Realty. Should you have the need to engage them in selling your house or buying your next one, and along that process, if you need financial solutions to make that reality happen, simply scan this QR code. We will be ready, willing to engage you in a conversation to help you get to your next chapter. So, Chris, thank you for bringing in that wonderful guest. I can see why he is certainly Miles of Realty, buddy.
Yeah. Great, William. Always a great time. Looking forward to the next episode.
Absolutely. So for all of you watching us today, thank you once again for sharing your time with us. Now that your free time, is more since the kiddos are back in school and otherwise, until we see each other in the next episode of Selling That House. Talk to you all soon. Bye, Chris.
Thanks, William.